this is Gazmas bringing you part 2 of the Fractured Crown spoilers. There's no better place to start than with Fractured Crown. This is a 0 cost Luxem Regalia item warrior artifact. It has champion link. This object enters the field linked to target champion, and if the link is broken, sacrifice this object. And then it has linked champion's first attack each turn gets +2, and its class bonus is that champion gets 2 health for each unique ally card in your graveyard. So it's any ally with the unique tag, and it doesn't count just one if it was in there. So for example, if Lynette was in there 4 times in your graveyard, you'd get 8 health. Also, this can only be played with Trisket to get the class bonus at the moment, because it's a warrior regalia item and not Xander. But I think this actually does have some potential in Trisket, which I'm going to show you now. So you level up to Trisket. I'm assuming you've milled throughout the game. You've gotten all those unique allies into your graveyard, and then you bring out Fractured Crown. And this, just based on like if there was 5 allies in your graveyard, you're looking at an additional 10 health, putting Trisket to 22. And considering that you've probably already taken damage and then brought Trisket out, and that sets to 0, this could be a huge health push. I do think this deck is probably going to be a meme deck, but I'm not going to be surprised if someone brings Trisket out and it's got 40 health. The next Luxem card I'm going to discuss is Ufa, the Illustrious King. It is a unique ally warrior human with intercept and vigor. It's a 4 cost Luxem. On enter, you may rest Ufa. When you do, banish another target non-champion object. On leave, return that banished object to the field. So essentially, as long as he's on the field, the item is banished. Once he goes, it comes back to the field. Where I say Ufta is going to get play is removing those objects of the game that lack interaction, such as the mains, fractals, and even the Majestic Spirit. Now jumping to the next spoilers, it's a good time to remind you that in the description below I'll have links to all the spoilers and the content creators that released them. These spoilers come to us from TM32, and if you haven't, check out the video. It's definitely one of the better ones. Okay, so we have Parsnit, the Royal Maid. It's a 2 cost wind unique ally assassin human, level 2+ ability of stealth. It has a tap ability of glimpsing 1. Reveal the top card of your deck. When you reveal a wind element card this way, another target ally you control gains stealth until end of the turn. The other card is Dematerialize. It's a 3 cost wind action cleric spell. Return target regalia to its owner's material deck, noting that this is a slow spell. Now when I look at Parsnit, all I think about is this is an excellent way to protect those very fragile wind assassin and Luxem assassin allies that you have that you want to play, but then they just get killed straight away. So the 2 I'm thinking about are Bushwhack Bandit and Kohazi Lightblade. Both of them have critical, which I think has just been underutilized so far in Dawn of Ashes, and I really think that Parsnit is definitely going to be able to make Bushwhack Bandit that a little bit more viable, being able to attack with it when you first play it, and then maybe even get it to survive the next turn and then attack again. So Dematerialize, essentially the opposite of Beseech the Winds. It's probably just another great way to deal with the Majestic Spirit, obviously just returning it back to the material deck, but also being able to return your opponent's weapon. So if I think of a Lorraine that has a sword out and then wants to go to level 2, on my turn I bounce the sword back to its material deck, has no swords out now, maybe needs to take another turn to bring one out. It's a good card to slow down your opponents, especially if they're just if they require a regalia item out on the field. So I wouldn't be sleeping on Dematerialize, and I think it's definitely probably going to see play. Another card which I'm pretty high on is Factorized. It is a 2 cost water action cleric mage spell. Target item or weapon becomes a cleric fractal Fantasia with reservable and loses all other abilities. So this is, and it has floating memory, and it's a fast speed, which I think is just awesome. So when I think of like, I guess the current meta, and there's those 2 Crux swords that just keep getting bounced and do so much damage, provide so much value. Now in water, you're going to say, well, actually that prismatic sword, that Sword of Avarice, is now just a fractal. Good luck bouncing that back. So this card I think will definitely see play. It might be my favorite card that's been spoiled so far. Jumping onto another water card, this time a regalia weapon, we have Arundite Azure Blade. So it's Mordred's sword, or the sword that's depicted in his art. It is a Regalia weapon, warrior sword, class bonus. On enter, you may banish any amount of cards with floating memory from your graveyard. For each card banished this way, put a refinement counter on Arundite. Arundite gets +2 for each refinement counter on it. So attacks for 1, 2 durability, paired with Mordred and just a ton of swords in the banish zone, in the graveyard, and this is going to swing for a ton. So Bestial Frenzies that spoiled this Andy in a deck that he mentioned that he quickly slapped together. He was getting a Arundite to swing for 11, to swing for 13, and I don't think that's going to be too hard. So definitely looking at this card, definitely looking at some main Mordred decks and seeing what I can do. So changing lanes from some warrior swords and now jumping into some mage spells. First we have Develop Mana. It's a 3-cost normal mage spell. Put a level counter on your champion. It's a slow spell, noting that this level counter stays. It doesn't get removed at the end of the turn. And the other mage spell is a 2-cost arcane element Voltic Sphere. Deal 3 damage to target unit. If that unit is an ally, deal 5 damage to it instead. But then has this juicy class bonus of you banish Voltic Spear from your graveyard, and the next arcane element spell card you activate this turn costs 1 less to activate. This is also a slow spell. Now I look at Develop Mana, how I look at Harness Mana. When I initially looked at it, don't really want to play it, but as I keep looking at it, I see it probably moving its way into Rye builds. I think it's just a great early play to get your level, and also maybe even helps you reduce the amount of arcane cards that you actually play, because you're not too worried about banishing them all to get to those like that 7 level, 8 level where you kind of pop off. So I'm definitely going to be trying to Develop Mana in my existing Rye builds and any future mage builds that I attempt. I really like Voltaic Sphere. It's just another source of point removal for Rye, especially dealing 5 damage. You're going to be able to get rid of most allies, and then that class bonus, being able to then banish it, so you get that level up, and plus reducing the next cost. So it's a 2-cost reduction on like an Arcane Blast. And you've dealt with the board as well. I think it's a great card and probably will definitely see play in Rye builds. Now jumping to our spoiler from Adventure Co Gaming, we have some Tamer cards. So first we have Bedivere Woodland Observer, 3-cost unique ally, Tamer Animal Human. Bedivere has Taunt as long as you control another animal or beast ally, and its class bonus, which is level 3. On death, put a buff count on each animal and or beast ally you control. 1 attack, 4 health, and the other being a 2-cost wind action Tamer skill Harmony, Anthem of Vitality. Targeted animal or beast ally gets +3 health and gains spell shield until end of turn. It has Harmonized. If you have activated a melody card this turn, put 2 buff counters on an animal or beast ally you control, noting that this is a fast speed. Anthem of Vitality is going to be a 4 of in every Wind Tamer deck. Not only does it protect from attack damage with their 3 additional health, but then has Spell Shroud to protect it from any non-attack damage. But the thing that I think is just really great about it, providing Spell Shroud, is your opponents aren't able to flick it or send it back to hand, and then you lose those buff counters. And then also with Harmonize, if you've activated a melody card this turn, putting 2 buff counters on an animal or beast you control. Pairs great with the Melodious Flute or Blissful Calling, because that is a melody. Blissful Calling being a 1-cost, Anthem of Vitality being a 2-cost. You can get this done pretty easy with both of them in hand. Now our pal Bedivere, the Woodland Observer, has one thing that I think everyone needs to pay attention to. It is a Tamer Animal Human. Making an emphasis on the word animal, it pairs with all the Tamer cards that have synergy. If you have an animal or beast out, even like the level 1 Sylvie, putting a buff counter, the level 2 Sylvie being able to draw a card if you have an animal and beast. So definitely probably going to see a lot of play in all Sylvie builds, all Alan builds across the board. And our last spoiler is Prismatic Sanctuary. It's a 3-cost normal domain. Upkeep at the beginning of your recollection phase, reveal a card at random from your memory. If that card is not fire, water, nor wind element, sacrifice Prismatic Sanctuary. Fire, water, and wind elements enabled for you. I think this card isn't very good at the moment. It's pretty a niche deck building, but I do think that this has the most potential to be broken the longer the game is printed, just on the basis that you can play all 3 starter elements. For now, probably not too good. Later might be broken. Okay, so now wrapping this video up. If you enjoyed the content, please consider liking and subscribing. As always, you can find me in the GA Discord. Please feel free to send me any questions or just say hey. Cheers.